All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Ben and Nate's Questions That We Ask People on the Internet. I'm one half of your host, Nate Fay. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I'm an osteopathic manual therapist, and when I'm not in my awesome practice, I'm on the road teaching for Eric Dalton in the Freedom from Pain Institute. How about you, Ben?
All right, all right, all right. That's right. My name is Ben Stone, and I am a massage therapist of 20 plus years. And man, here we are with Ben and Nate's Questions We Ask People on the Internet. And it's so good to have this show for 26 episodes, I believe.
26 episodes. We officially hit our 1 year mark just
Oh,
last
that's
week.
right. 1 year of bringing you podcast bliss. Yes. Questions that we ask people on the internet, podcast style. Tell people how the show works, Nate, in case they're new to listening.
Super easy. Once a week, we post a question on the internet about the massage industry. We want you to respond by commenting on those posts that you see. And then every week, Ben and I get together and we record a podcast about that question. We choose our favorite answers and we go into in-thorough discussion about that particular question.
Let me tell you, we get really jazzed up when we see you guys interacting with those questions and leaving your answers because that's what makes this whole show work. It's so fun.
We love it. That's why we do it.
Yeah, so we got episode 26 today. But before we get into that, you know what we do. We got to check in. I know you've been busy, Nate. So tell me a little bit about what's been going on with you.
It's seminar season, so I've been on the road. I've been to Albany, New York. I just got back from Fraser, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Philadelphia. So we've got two great classes over the past month, and on Tuesday, I'm going to be headed north of the border, and we're going to go see our good friends up in Canada, and we're going to go teach at the big Canadian massage conference up there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's an awesome one, man. You're just creating a following, and they're just probably gonna all follow you up north and just kind of cross the border and just wreak havoc into Canada, into Canada.
I got really cool shirts made, and I could say this now because this episode will probably air after I get back. But I had like these cool shirts made to wear for when I teach. It's got the Canadian flag on it. Do Dalton Myaskeltel presented by Nate Fay, and on the back I had the best things come from Canada, and I had him print Scott Dartnall, who of course is putting on the conference, two arm tees and a mic, card
Nice,
on tables, and hockey.
nice.
So I'm looking forward to debuting that shirt next week.
I mean, that list could go on and on if you wanted it to. You know what
It
I mean?
really could. I mean,
Yeah,
Bare Naked Ladies, Alanis Morissette, Rush, right?
yeah.
This goes on. We should have added them.
Well, I think it was. You can only fit so much on a T-shirt, right?
That's right. And unless, see, I've been losing weight, but if I gained a lot of weight and it was like an extra big t-shirt, then I could probably fit a lot more.
There you go.
What's happening in Nebraska?
Oh man, I'm gearing up to take a little vacation. We're gonna go to Colorado here in a few weeks. So we're just, I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of time off, but really, just kind of, doing the thing every day, working the grind.
Where in Colorado are you off to?
We're gonna check out Estes Park. I've never been there. I've been to, like Breckenridge and those areas,
Oh
but
yeah,
I've never been to Estes. So that'll be
cool.
fun. Check out the place.
That sounds good. How close are you going to be to Denver?
I think we need to drive through Denver to get to Estes. I don't I forget exactly the geography of it, but it's not that far from Denver.
Cool. Yeah. Eric's heading out there in a couple weeks to shoot a new video.
Oh, nice.
Oh, he'll be in Denver himself.
Yeah, I love those videos that Eric Dalton puts out.
Be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into our question this week, do you have any questions for me?
I don't know if it's a question, but it's a little story. So it's picture New York and a hot dog stand. And the Buddhist monk, he walks up to the hot dog stand and he says, "Make me one with everything." And the hot dog vendor is like, "All right." And so the monk hands over a $20 bill, and the hot dog vendor hands him over the hot dog, and the monk sits there waiting and says, "Hey, I gave you a $20 bill. Where's my change?" And the hot dog vendor says, "Ah, change comes from within."
Well, listen, change has come from within. And I think once again, Ben, you rolled us nicely into our question of the week. So hit us with it.
That's right. Our question of the week that we asked on our Facebook page, Ben and Nate's Questions, that we asked people on the internet, reads, "How has the perception of massage therapy changed over the years?" Pretty simple question, but I think there's a lot to talk about there.
I think there's definitely a lot to talk about too, because whose perception are we talking about? Probably both, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking
The clients that
practitioner and
the layperson,
consumer.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. I mean, our perception as practitioners has changed from probably, when I went to massage school, right? When you went to massage school 20 years ago, there was the spa program, and they were just rolling out at that time a medical massage program, but nobody had any idea what that meant back then, not even the teachers. So everyone was kind of standing around and didn't even know what to do with that. And then I think probably certainly fast forward 10 years, 15 years, or even currently, right? There's a whole different perception and probably training when it comes to massage therapy that might be oriented to people that have pain or complicated conditions that might walk into your door, right?
absolutely. I'm thinking about how should we lay this one out, because we got this question and I didn't even think about that, the difference between practitioner versus
Yeah.
consumer. So maybe we talk about the practitioner side of it a little bit first, and then roll
Yeah,
over to the consumer side.
I think so. Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's kind of my first thought right out of the chute, right? And certainly we could probably see that the edu field of education has probably changed to offer more classes in that realm, right? Working with people with whether it's pain or, shoulder issues that maybe we weren't thinking about 20 years ago. So now massage therapists have to have a better understanding, of low back pain or neck pain or shoulder pain that certainly probably wasn't really thought about like 20 years ago or beyond, where maybe the theme was again back to the whole stress, anxiety, relaxation themed work that we were taught early on.
yeah, I think that goes for both sides. The practitioner and the consumer was more, looking at massage as more of a relaxation, stress reduction, that kind of thing. And I remember when I was going to school, I took classes that taught me how to give facials,
Yeah,
mud treatments, different, spa type treatments. They were preparing me to be an entry level massage therapist in the spa realm. And, I didn't really have much choice of where I went to massage school. I think there was one school here in where I live. And so if I wanted to go to a different school, I had to drive maybe an hour and a half. So that was it for me.
right. It was kind of the same, right? So our school had this big, like I said, this big spa program. So when I enrolled in massage school, it was you picked the program that you wanted to sort of like major in, so to speak. So there was the big spa program. There was what else did they do? There was one that had more of a focus on acupressure and therapies like that. And then there was, like I said, they were just rolling out this medical massage program. And it was pretty interesting because at the time, you don't know what you don't know as a student. And so we had all our basic classes just like you did, right? Anatomy and physiology, pathology that everybody had to take, and then your sort of basic technique courses. And then you had these extra classes in medical massage, and even the teachers were like, you could tell they didn't know what to do, right? So it's like, well, what does this mean? Like, do we go to the hospital? Like, should we learn energy work, like Reiki, and go to the hospital and do that kind of stuff? So no, it was almost like the students at the same time were sort of hashing this out with the teachers and like what direction we should take it in. And ultimately, we did a little externship at one of the local hospitals, and they had at that time, for a long time, they had massage therapists that worked in Hartford Hospital, which they had like what they called alternative and complementary medicine program at the hospital, so people could sign up for Reiki, for massage therapists, massage therapy, for reflexology. But at the end of the day, right, there was really no consideration to say, how do we work on these people? It was still massage in form of relaxation, massage in the form of reflexology, massage in the form of Reiki. So there's still no special considerations taken.
What I'm thinking about is how has the schooling changed in the last, you know, several years, 20, 20, 30 years?
Yeah, that part's hard for me to answer because I mean, at least in Connecticut, I think that's just a whole different that's a little difficult to answer because I mean, the schools, got bought and sold. I mean, what was once a private institution became more of like a corporate chain sort of style, and it seemed like perhaps the massage schools were, I don't know, not necessarily run the same way, but I don't think I could speak to what the requirements are. I simply know that at least in Connecticut, they did up the hours for licensure. So it was 500 when I went to school. It's 750 now. So maybe that at least tells me that something's changing where therapists maybe need more entry level education.
Yeah, that's definitely not a bad thing. And
No.
as you mentioned that as schools get bought out, one of the things I heard, and I don't know for sure, but it sounds like nationwide there's less, I'm going to call it mom and pop type schools, and there's more of those corporate type schools taking over from the smaller run
Sure.
schools.
And I can't we can't really say if that's a good thing or a bad thing because I don't know what's necessarily taking place in the school. What I can say, and we've talked about this before, is that being in the continuing education field, I can say that I've noticed over the past year, the quality of therapists coming into the class is way better. And this includes because I usually take a poll, how many of you have been a therapist for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And there's always a good mix of people. And a lot of the younger therapists are performing at a much better level all around. And I sometimes wonder, does that have to do with a school? We've talked about this before. Does this have to do with the amount of information that's being shared right on social media? Like everything's so accessible, right? So if you want a technique for neck pain, you could Google that, YouTube it, and find probably some of the greats in our industry and then some demonstrating in what we would consider maybe an advanced technique. Whereas what you and I 10, 15, 20 years ago, you just had to wait until somebody came around and hope you heard about it.
Having people recommend continuing education, I think that's something that probably students or newer therapists are hearing. Hey, in order to improve or to evolve in this profession, you need to, pay attention to your learning and
Right.
really get after it.
But let me ask you, because I know you assist and you do a lot of continuing education classes, and I know that we talked last time. I'm excited to see you debut. You're going to be debuting a continuing education class pretty soon. And so, I'm curious that I, right, you're assisting in certain classes, right? And I'm teaching and assisting in certain types of classes, which is also going to attract a certain type of therapist. So in other classes that might still be geared towards spa or relaxation or something along those lines. And by the way, just for clarification, we're not saying one is better than the other, right? I don't think there's a hierarchy here. I wonder, are there still a lot of therapists out there that may say, well, why do I need to know this stuff? Why do I need to know more anatomy? Why do I need to understand orthopedic conditions at a deeper level? Um, you know what I mean?
That's a great question. And and I've had this conversation with a colleague of mine who probably she takes more continuing education than I do, which is that's hard to do because I've got over 100 credits this year, pretty close to 100 CEs this year. But we had this conversation because some of the things that we talk about, what kind of conditions do you like to work with? What kind of stuff, what's your ideal person to work with? And she says, people come in and I just do the same thing with them. And I'm like, but all of this stuff that you've been trained to do and that you're learning, are you not wasting that? And she's like, you know what? People don't, the people that she attracts, I'm going to say, and I don't know for sure 100%, but I'm just kind of, putting an educated guess in. She's like, those people just want to relax and I don't mind doing that work. I do the other stuff. She's been to, Till and Whitney and Eric Dalton. She's been to all of the big names. But she goes, I do that for myself. That's for me. And when the clients come in, they want something different, even though I can help them with their low back pain or this or that. She's like, they don't want that. So I give them what they want, but I do what I like in those continuing education classes. I thought that was an interesting approach. Is like, is continuing education for us or is it for our clients or is it a little bit of both? Because sometimes I think, I go because I enjoy it, even though
Sure.
I've been to the same class, 5, 7, 10 times in a row. I don't care. I learn something new every time I go to that same class. I go see whoever, James Lazlowski. I've seen him several times in the last couple years. I like having this stuff reiterated to me. Repetition.
Well, it's an interesting point, and I guess now that you're saying it out loud, it sort of made me think about sort of how I perceive this. But I guess at the end of the day, if you want the type of clientele that you want, right? If you're at that point in your career where you can pick and choose your clients, and that's just what you want to do, again, it's totally respectable and commendable. I struggle, right? So kind of the opposite of I guess your colleague and even yourself is I've struggled with taking continuing education classes outside of the realm of what I like to do and what I like to learn about. And it's probably not being a very good learner, right? It's probably not being a very good student. It's almost like that. Maybe I am closed off to learning because I'm sort of, I guess I've thought, well, if I go take this class that's something completely different, what's my takeaway going to be? Is it going to be for the benefit of me? Is it going to be for the benefit of my client? And I'm super guilty of this because this becomes, man, you made me second guess everything about myself now, Ben.
Oh, no, no, no. Back
Oh no,
up,
I'm just
back up.
kidding. I'm listening to a great book right now called The Teacher, or no, The Music Lesson. It's called The Music Lesson, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, fundamentally, right? The book is about famous bass player by the name of Victor Wooten, and the book starts off. He says, "Well, what do you do?" He says, "Well, I'm a bass player," and the teacher in this book says, well, you're not a musician then. You're not this well-rounded thing. And it leads him on this journey to become not just a bass player, but a musician. And I always like to think, well, I'm a massage therapist, but then I think, well, how could I be this well-rounded massage therapist if I'm not doing exactly that? So maybe we should be taking classes even if we're not going to use it.
I think that could be a whole episode in
That's,
itself.
I know.
We always
Sorry, you
have
got me
these.
up. You got me
No,
in therapy here.
I love this. I love this thought, and let me see if I can kind of maybe speak back to you what I heard you say. So you seek out the continuing education classes that speak to you. So the stuff, I'm just gonna guess, and I may be wrong, but I'm gonna say something like reflexology is probably not up your alley
And who knows?
as
Because
much.
right, yeah. If the class was happening down the street from me, I don't think I would sign up for it. Right.
Right. And is man, there's so many things to know in the realm of massage and body work. Is do we have to know it all, or just be aware that it's there? I don't know that you can really make a fair comparison between massage therapy and say music and an instrument.
Well, it's hard, right? It's hard to do, and I always take the philosophical question that my bass teacher asked me, which is, do you love your instrument? And I say, yes, I do. And then he asks me questions about it and finds where I'm faulting. And, you know, anyway, we could
But
go on about that all night, but
I so what if we take the instrument, so the bass. We know almost everything there is to know about the bass. We know how long it is, how many strings there are on it, what how to tune it, all these things. We know everything. But let's say our instrument as a massage therapist is the body.
right.
We don't know everything about the body, so that makes it even harder.
Being human's pretty complicated, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty infinite at that. So, but you could simply ask somebody, well, how many this, how many that, how many bones, how many joints, how many muscles, how many vertebrae, how many discs, do you fundamentally know that stuff? But anyway,
But then that always changes, right? We've got the greater
could
omentum, which
change,
is
right?
now been classified as a muscle, right? I think. I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
we
so
could go down
anyway,
that rabbit hole
we're getting
all
crazy.
day long.
Well, the bottom line is that the perception of massage for the clinician and the teacher, I think we can safely both agree that that has significantly changed regardless, right?
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to throw out another thing that I think has changed for the clinician is that I think there is more an expanded role in specialization. I work on, you have fascial work, or you have, I don't know, help me out here.
Well, anything. I mean, I specialize in complicated shoulder conditions.
Yeah,
I specialize in low back pain. I specialize in foot and ankle issues. I specialize in athletes. I
exactly.
I work strictly with an established age group of 65 and over. I mean, those are all things that you need additional education about for sure.
And say 20 or 30 years ago, we didn't have this specialization. It was just I'm a masseuse or a masseur.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So that's definitely changed. And with that being said, probably because of those things, right, to not only the lay people, the lay person, the consumer, as you said, and as well as, I mean, we could probably now take this down the road of how about other fields? I mean, back 20 years ago, I worked with a chiropractor. The hierarchy was, chiropractor, massage therapist. So if you're listening to us, my hand's way up here, way up to the ceiling when I say chiropractor, and then all the way down to the floor when I say massage therapist. There was this whole hierarchy back then. And the question was always like, well, I should get a massage first, so that my chiropractic adjustment will be so much better, and things like that. That was the conversation 20 years ago, and certainly now, and it's not just chiropractic, by the way, physical therapy, doctors, right? How many massage therapists are now working and speaking to, and maybe have a referral relationship with medical doctors or orthopedic doctors, right? Something that you would have never heard about 20 years ago.
Yeah, there's a definitely a increased recognition in the medical field of what massage is capable of.
Sure.
There is still a huge difference in the disparity in education, between a
Of
physical
course.
therapist and a massage therapist. So
100%. Yeah. I guess my point is that perhaps a chiropractor is now more willing to speak this, the same language, if you will, and have a stronger referral relationship with a good massage therapist, much like a physical therapist with so on and so forth. So the perception of what we can do certainly has changed, I think, in the minds of other fields.
and what has led to that perception of what massage is able to do? We have now research that helps substantiate what we do a little bit. I mean, it's not the greatest research out there, but there's more than there was 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, there's a lot of great things that have really come out in the past, really the past 10-ish years or so, and that's sort of continuing as well and building some good cases for us, building some, maybe changing the narrative a little bit here and there. But I think it's all heading in the right direction, right, of what massage can do.
Yeah, and what's the term that's thrown out? Evidence-based practice. I practice based on the evidence that's provided, but we also have practice based on past evidence. So I've worked on someone and I've found out, hey, just because the evidence says I need to do this, well, guess what? On this person, that's not working. So I got to do something different. So we also build, evidence based on our experience.
For sure. For sure. It's an interesting thing. So I have, I don't know, you probably get referrals from doctors, right, Ben?
I get a few, yes, mainly
Yeah.
chiropractors and PTs.
Cool. Right. And did you 15, 20 years ago?
Oh heck no! I was doing facials and pedicures 15 years ago, man. I
Right.
was, yeah,
I'm
totally
trying
different.
to, I'm trying to picture you doing a pedicure.
Oh man, that's not a place I want to go back to.
Oh. We should have AI do an artist rendition of you doing a pedicure, I think, for this
I,
episode.
I can do it right here.
Do it right now.
Oh yeah,
Uh, but yeah, so I mean, again, I think that's like pretty cool, right? And I think the other way, right? We've talked about this before, but just like another good reminder for you as the massage therapist that's listening, if you have successfully helped somebody with their low back pain, right? Somebody that didn't know what to do. And sometimes you get people that say, well, I made an appointment. I had an appointment with my doctor. I had this appointment with you, and you were able to help me. Should I keep my appointment with my doctor? And I say, yes, you should, for two reasons. One, just to make sure everything's like totally cool, because I also like them to know that hints that we're a team player. And also B, to it's up to our clients to spread that word back to their practitioners that, hey, massage has helped them, right? And I think that's like a little bit of education out there for other clinicians as well. Because then sometimes they step back and they say, well, I don't know what he's doing over there. I don't know what she's doing over there, but hey, if it helps you, that's great. And bring some cards next time, something along those lines.
and that we've talked about this before, but if someone's talking good about you and referring you and saying, hey, you need to go see Nate because he's helped so and so and so and so and so and so, and I think he can help you. That's
Yeah,
already managing expectations and increasing therapeutic outcome before someone's even come to see you. And I know we talk about
absolutely.
this a lot, but I mean, it's just,
Absolutely.
there's no reason why I should talk bad about any chiropractor. I mean,
No,
I've heard some negative stories about some, but I never put any chiropractor down. I mean, they may have some, personal approaches that I don't agree with, but I'm like, no,
sure.
hey, if chiropractic helps you, go for it, do it.
100%. And that's what I say to people too, because I'll have clients that come and see me and they say, do you think I should go to a chiropractor as well as you? And I'm always like, same thing. If you feel that that's going to help you get to where you need to be, then go for it. Right.
And on the flip side of that too, I also notice that there are people who don't get benefit from massage. And those are the people I don't see. They probably get more benefit from PT or chiropractic, but I never see them,
Absolutely.
which is fine. But I just like to think about that. There's a portion of the population that is either afraid to get massaged, doesn't want to get massaged, or for whatever reason. And it's just fun to think about that other side of care.
We're in a bubble. We're in our bubble in our practices, and we're hearing what we hear. And just like any chiro PT or anyone else is, patients are probably going to them and probably saying, you know, exactly what we're talking about. So there's always somebody for everybody. But the bottom line, Ben Stone, is that there's definitely a change in how all these industries and professions are working together now. So I think that has also, the perception of massage in their eyes has definitely, definitely changed.
Yeah. So a lot of what we talked about is kind of, flipping back and forth between the practitioner and the consumer. But what's anything that you can think of that's particular to the consumer? I can think of a couple, but I want to see what you got.
Well, again, it's people calling us, right? People I talk to other students in class, right? People calling us as a first call for low back pain or neck pain, not a second call, not a third call, not a I've been everywhere, tried everything, but we're like first on their list. There's a trust there, there's a confidence there that we're going to that massage and manual therapy is somehow going to help them. Whereas when I first started, I mean, I could just run down the list quickly, right? When I first started, I mean, massage was looked at as a luxury, as an extra service, as I'm going to get a massage this month. And if, people wanted to rebook, it was like, oh, I'll call you when I want to, or I'll see you in 4 weeks. The classic, massage is only once a month. I certainly had like no male clients coming to see me, because it was looked at as perhaps, I don't know, a guy touching another guy or whatever, right? There was those kind of perceptions. And now I can safely say that I don't even know. I haven't checked recently, but I think it's like 65% of my clients to 70% of my clients are males, are those seeking out help to with whatever X, Y, and Z pain, neck pain, low back pain, knee pain, and want to be their best selves out in the world. And same thing with everybody else. Any other gender that comes and sees me, it's the same thing. People are coming in now because they want to be their best selves.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What do you think has changed over the last 20, 30 years? Why are people calling massage therapists first as opposed to when they weren't doing that 20, 30 years ago? What has changed in the public's eye?
Well, I think the public has, I think, first of all, the massage therapists that are out there on the streets and in the trenches, and certainly social media helps to spread education around that massage is not a sexual service. It's not a this service. It's not a criminal service or whatever the dark, seedy side of whatever you want to say that is
Human
in the
trafficking.
massage world, human trafficking, right? That's not the legit massage therapist. And 20 years ago, right, that was still being certainly perpetuated when I got out of school. I heard every stupid joke in the book, that
Yeah.
we've all heard, right? And then finally, I think the public perhaps finally got educated that, hey, human trafficking is a real and serious thing, that these massage parlors are probably a lot worse than we perceive them to be. So there's education there. There's education has gotten out there to the public on what massage can do for their neck pain or for their low back pain. I think people realize that, and we've talked about this probably every episode, right? We spend a long time with people, right? So there's like a lot of bang for the buck, if you will, that if they have low back pain, then we also might look head to toe as well and cover a lot more ground. So that all probably falls under education, that the public has gotten a lot more educated over the years.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about how much more, just like you said in general, how much more people are sharing information. So we're sharing, and that probably relates to how much more students are learning in school, that they're able to share more information and educate clients. And one thing I think too is, and I don't know, give me your thoughts on this. I think people are more willing to share that they get massage now versus when they, went and got massage 20, 30 years ago. They may have not told their friends, it was just
Oh,
something they did.
they definitely didn't. As a matter of fact, and right, people say this, right? We hold a lot of standards, and just to kind of sidetrack leading into your question, right? So you have a husband and wife seeing you, and the wife might say, "How's my husband doing?" And I mean, but because of my personality, I always say, like, "Oh, you have to ask them," right? And it's true because you never know what that could cause at home, right?
Yeah.
And we don't want to, I just don't want a problem. So, but going back, so leading into your question, right? I mean, I would have people come in and say, like, "Oh, I also know that you see so and so, but please don't tell them. Please don't tell them I come here." I would have female clients that like would say, "Please don't call my phone for anything. I can't have my husband knowing that I'm coming to get a massage from a male," right?
Yeah.
So it's like that whole thing. I actually had people say that to me. And yeah, so there was like a lot of that. There was no, and I remember as I was trying to build my practice, specifically asking people, so like, "Hey, can you spread the word?" And they would actually say to me, like, "I can't tell anyone that I'm doing this." And I'm like, doing in my sort of naive mind, I was like, doing what? Doing what, good speed? So anyway, I I don't know, man. And so, but now it's like, right, like social media, the excitement, like, oh my God. Now it's like the opposite. People come in and they're like, "I've told so many people about you," right?
Yeah.
So yeah, versus like, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, and so another thing I'm thinking about as you're talking about that is I think that massage can be found in more places now too. So you mentioned
Yeah.
chiropractic, PTs, but also in the corporate world, people are bringing in people to do chair massage, and people are bringing in someone to do mobile massage at a retreat or something like that. So we're being we're more visible than we were probably 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And I also love hearing that too. And again, it's when I go out and teach at continuing education, and all the therapists, 1 year to 30 years, just telling me how busy they are. And I just feel like I wasn't really hearing that 10 years ago. And it just seems like everyone I talk to now is just so insanely like busy.
That's interesting because as we move toward you know, uh, we're putting more priority onto mental health as a society in general, and massage fits that bill. Like, I'm gonna take care of work-life balance. I'm gonna take care of me. I'm gonna go get massage. I'm gonna take care of my mental health.
Yeah, COVID, man, there's a lot of bad that come out of COVID, but there was some good stuff too. And I think that was like the biggest thing, when people were in isolation. I mean, who was on the first line when it came to like compassionate touch? We were. The New York Times wrote a huge article about our industry and based on that massage was, because of COVID, was going to become like skyrocket. And in some ways, I think it has, but in some ways, and this isn't the show tonight, but I think there was a lot of rebuilding too with therapists getting scared and not renewing their licenses, but that's another topic.
Yeah, that's a spin-off. That's a
That's
spin-off show right there.
Yeah, that's like the Cosby Show to different world, I think
Yeah.
it was. Right. Anyway. So yeah, I think it's exciting. And I always say in my class, I think it's a pretty exciting time to be in this field.
Well, so we've talked about this question: how has the perception of massage therapy changed over the years? I'm gonna ask you to put on your looking into the future hat. And I want you to give me your take on where is the perception of massage therapy going to be in the next 20 years?
Well, there's always the question of does like insurance, billing and coding make us like a next level up practitioner? And I'm always torn on that question when people ask me if I think that we'll ever see that in our field. And on one hand, I say, well, if they make it easy, they make it work, they pay our fees for the amount of time, I'm on board. So do I think that we're going to see that in my lifetime in this career? I'm still skeptical that we'll see that. But I certainly see that as the field continues to grow, that acceptance and understanding of what we can do, how massage works, how maybe manual therapy can save somebody from a shoulder surgery or low back surgery. I think the acceptance and everything like that's still going to continue to grow. And like you said, where we're going to see massage therapists, I think we're going to see that grow as well.
Yeah. What about the time when you have massage therapists working in hospitals, commonplace versus I think there's some massage therapists that work in hospitals, but a special area for massage therapy, to handle soft tissue manipulation work.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue. I mean, there was the question a few years ago, and I know guys like Whitney Lowe are sort of spearheading this. I don't know if it died in the water, but two separate licenses to designate, a therapist that has, maybe different training from another therapist. Will we see that in our lifetime? I'm not really sure. I don't think so, but who knows?
That's an interesting concept because I want to go back to the music example. Do you need two different approaches to playing the bass? Two different, I don't know, license. What would be the equivalent to separating out two different types of people who play the bass?
Well, I mean, there would be. I mean, certainly the orchestral New York Philharmonic bassist or Boston Symphony bassist is not going to go to the New York City Jazz Club and swing with those cats, if you will. You know what I mean? And not be able to hang in there. The New York Symphony musician is not going to go hang in there and play a gig with John Coltrane. It's going to be two very different types of bass playing. The Broadway bassist, right? The guy that's playing the Lion King all week is not going to go play in a commercial rock band, right? And go back up uh, Taylor Swift or something like that. Yeah, it's going to be very
Yeah,
different
that's
type
an
of
interesting
musician.
point of view, but also they could because they know how to play the music. I mean, it may not be like the other people do it, but I mean, let's just say they all went to massage school, they all went to bass school. So they have that
Well,
entry level knowledge of how to play all the notes. So potentially they could play at all those different venues. They would not excel at it, but potentially they could, right? I'm just playing devil's advocate
yeah.
here, just
No,
trying to.
that's okay. I'm gonna, you know what, Ben? We seldom disagree. We're good. We're a happily married couple, but no, I'm gonna disagree with you on that one because classical upright bass, which you could sort of see behind me there, is a very different monster than say like the electric bass that you can kind of see in the corner of my room there. Very different monster. I would, as the type of training that I have and playing, I would walk into a New York Phil audition and not know what to do, right? Even though I went to a very rigorous training, right? I would not be cut out for that. But if I had to go audition to maybe pick up a gig on Broadway, I probably would have a hell of an audition, right? So
Yeah, and the comparison we're making is not
that's tough,
completely
right? No, it's
not
not.
completely fair.
It's not.
Um,
But so, well, let's ask you this. Let's relate it to the massage industry. So, if I spent my last 20 years working in a spa, doing facials, doing awesome relaxation massage. By the way, I say this every class. If you ask me tomorrow to do a 1 hour relaxation massage, I would fail miserably. I would fail miserably. I wouldn't even know what to do. So,
Same.
right. So then there's that. So if the spa person was called in to like say like hospitals were now hiring in the orthopedic department, so to help rehab somebody with their shoulder issue, right? How would that look? So should there be two, right? And I'm not saying one's better than the other because like I said, if I was called to do a spa gig right now, I would fall on my face.
Yeah, they are completely different, and it's an interesting conversation to have because ideally we all have the same basic knowledge in massage, but yet there are advanced educations for each pathway to make you better at one than the
Yeah,
other.
sure. There
I don't know.
definitely
It's yeah.
Yeah, there definitely is. But then again, a high-end spa in Boston or New York City or whatever, like I said, if they had a job opening, and they want you to be their lead massage therapist, charging $225 a session, and all that, like if I went to apply for that, right, it would be terrible, right? So should there be, I don't know, Ben. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because
I'm gonna agree
I
with you
think
there. I don't know.
I think what I think it alludes to, and this is the part that I don't like, and this is the part that I think's unfair. I think it alludes to one is better than the other. And I don't think one's better than the other. I think they're both pretty amazing. So anyway, maybe we digress.
Yeah, we could talk about that all night.
Right.
What should we do? Let's talk about big takeaways.
This was an easy one tonight,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, maybe not.
I don't
No,
know. I feel like we went a lot of different places,
it's okay.
which is good.
Hey, listen, if we confused you, comment below. No, I'm just kidding. So, so I don't know. Big takeaways are, I mean, when I saw that question pop up a couple weeks ago, because you posed that question, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one, right? Because we're just seeing it. And like I say, I keep saying that now it's a good time to be in this industry. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about our growth. I love looking back to the start of my career where my family and friends were like, what in the absolute F are you doing, Nate? Like, what are you even doing? I remember coming home with my massage table that I bought at school, and everybody was looking at me like I had just absolutely lost my mind. And now, right, all those same family and friends are like, holy crap, dude, like you're like crushing it, right? It's awesome, you know? I
Yeah.
love that. How about you, buddy?
Oh man, I think after talking, I think the big takeaway is, the amount of education that has been going on over the last, several years to change the public's perception of what massage is and what it can do. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome too. Social media has a lot of pros and cons, but the big pro is just getting that good word out there.
Awesome. So let's tell people how they can support the show.
You can Venmo Nate or Ben. How can you support the show? Listen, this show only works if you guys answer our questions. So look for those questions, take a couple minutes, even if you type a sentence or two, but we want you to participate because it gives us the excitement and energy, and we learn something too when we do this. So follow Ben and Nate's questions that we ask people on the internet. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube if you want to see us.
That's right. And this has been episode 26. We've done 25 of these in the past. We're on episode 26. We're averaging about one episode a month, people. How awesome is that?
I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you're going away for a couple weeks.
Pretty soon I'll be on vacation, but I think we may
Right.
be able to squeeze in another episode or two before I do that. So, you are going to be in Canada, so that's going to be awesome. So it may be a month or two before we get another episode out. Who knows?
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks everyone for tuning into episode 26. Comment below what you thought about this episode, and we will see you soon.
Episode 26.
Bye bye.